Well, hello once more to all my friends on the interwebs who love miniatures. I'm Doc Ian. It's a Monday and I'm here to ramble. Today is Monday the 5th of May, 2025. Can't say May the 4th be with you, that was yesterday, but, well, let's do some other nerd stuff anyway. We have these Achtung Cthulhu minis. These are the last of the Achtung Cthulhu minis that I had, unpainted. And I finished them, and I think they're okay. So the Night Gaunt's a bit more blue than black, but I don't know. I think that's good for visibility. If I paint them pure black, you couldn't see them on the tabletop. They would just disappear. And these cultists are kind of weird, hopefully. Yeah, so those 6 are done. Still picks at the end. I do have a surprise for you, though. I finished the car for a certain value of finished. So like I said, I kept the sort of dirty metal look for it because by the time it's been modified like this in the movies to fly, it is pretty banged up and not pristine anymore. So I thought that was good. Now the windshields are just blacked out. I'm not sure what else to do about them. But, you know, and I did a flying stand and a base. Just a very simple stuff. Not my best work, I mean, but like it's an experiment. It takes practice. I think this is the first time I've actually painted something like this, a vehicle in 28mm scale, like a car like this, a modern vehicle, at least. So, yeah, you know, you live and you learn. Some mistakes were made, hopefully lessons were learned, but you know, it's done. Time to move on to other experiments. And looky here at the new adventurers. We have the torchbearer, the staff leaner, the rocker, and the midriff bearing paladin. Midriff bearing, I should say. Well, at least she's got some armor on her. Anyway, yeah. So these are those heresy miniatures I started. I showed you last week that I was going to start, and they are started. They are based, primed, and given an undercoating wash to make the details visible. And yeah, just time to start laying down the groundwork. Hopefully, you'll see them finished next week. Oh, and I have this side project to show you. I don't recall if I showed you a while back. I printed this little bust on my own 3D printer and painted it as an experiment. So this is from a collection of female busts that I kickstarted, and they're all relatively simple in their execution. They're not too detailed, and so I wanted to print this as just to test out the quality of my printer and you know, just to practice painting something on a larger scale. And I concluded that yeah, you can still sort of see the print lines because it's an FDM printer. But I've decided I don't care. I'm not going to paint for display. Here I'm going to paint for practice, to practice my techniques on a larger palette. So I printed out a few more, started printing out some more from this series. Now, the first thing you might wonder is why the purple? Well, it's because I have a lot of filament that I've inherited from a friend of mine who gave up on 3D printing, and he just gave me all his spools of filaments. And he wasn't printing to paint, he was printing other items, and so he had lots of different colors just because, you know, to print items in different colors. Now I'm just gonna paint over, so when I buy filament I just buy black. I don't care. But anyway, I'm gonna use up all these old spools. So this is what it looks like when it comes out of the printer. This is with all the supports that I let my slicing program automatically generate the supports. This is what it looks like when I have just taken off the supports but done no other cleanup work. This is what it looks like when I've tried to smooth out some of the rough spots using a Q-tip that I dipped in acetone. So I just lightly dab and try to, because the acetone essentially melts the plastic. And I've done some experiments. I tried simply dunking or drenching one of these in acetone. See, just give it a wash of that to see if it gets smoother. And it does, but then it takes out detail that I want to be there. For example, I printed a copy of this model earlier, and I just washed it in acetone, and it made this ear disappear completely. So, yeah. But this one is ready for priming, and yeah, this is, like I said, this is going to be a side project. These don't count towards my totals. I mean, they're not purchased, they're just printed, and so I don't count them as painted either. But, well, they're still something. And as you might notice, there's places where it's really hard to clean up, like the lines on the hair, the rough spots under the edges of these shoulder pads. I'm just gonna have to black out. It's impossible to clean them up completely. And we'll see what techniques I want to practice. But I'll have this one prepped by next week. Next up, because of that bust, which is slightly more time consuming, I thought I'd start fewer new models this week. So I looked over what I have from Reaper, and I chose the ones that are on slotted bases. Everything else I have from Reaper, this unpainted, as far as I can find, is just on their old school style integral bases. But here we have like a dwarven fighter, we have Socrates, a philosopher himself, and we have some sort of sword mage, I believe. He's got like a sword, holding it sort of like a rapier, though I don't believe it is a rapier. I think it's an arming sword. And he's got a flame coming out of his hand. Yeah, and well, the reason these are on slotted bases is they're from the Warlord line, which is supposedly for a war game, a miniatures game. So they have the square bases as well. But I'll put them. I'll change that out. I'll use round bases for them. And yeah, these will get prepped for next week. And with that, I think we can say goodbye for this week. So thanks for watching. If you'd give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. Just like, share, and subscribe. But above all, be back here next week, same day of the week, same channel, same Talkie on. Who for now is...